And she already gave the indication, which brings us to this article. I don't know how much we're going to cover of it, but this goes down to where we are now. Where do we stand? We have a lot of misandry. We have a lot of women manipulating men. All right. We have a lot of women out here in the trenches marrying men that are virgins, right? Completely lopsided relationships where the dude doesn't realize he getting hit over the head. We got a woman that has a baby by a man, but she got a 42 body count and he found out and crashed out. So we have an article here in Vogue magazine in an opinion section. So that means it's not the opinion of Vogue magazine, but they published it. Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? Is having a boyfriend embarrassing? And it simply says right here, if someone so much as says my on social media, they're muted. It says there's nothing I hate more than following someone for fun, only for their content to become my boyfriend-ified suddenly. This is probably because for so long I felt like we were living in what one of my favorite Substacker calls boyfriend land, a world where women's online identity centers around the lives of their partner, a situation rarely seen reversed. Women were rewarded for their ability to find and keep a man with elevated social status and praise. It becomes even more suffocating when this could be leveraged on social media for engagement. And if you're serious enough, financial gain. Let's go back. So she's saying that the people are so sick of people having successful relationships that the women who are misandrists, don't even want to see women publish their boyfriends. This woman has 211,000 followers, all right, on Instagram. She posted Charlie Kirk. These are all trad-cons. Charlie Kirk and Emily Kirk. This is possibly after assassination. We got a lot of plain Janes. But of course, if you post your husband or your boyfriend, she can't stand it. All right, so let's go back to the article. It says, however, most recently, there's been a pronounced shift in the way people showcase their relationships online. Far from the fully hard launching romantic partnership, straight women are opting for subtler signs, which a hand on the steering wheel, clinking glasses at dinner, or the back of someone's head. On the more confusing end, you have faces blurred out on wedding pictures and entire professional edit videos where the fiance conveniently cropped out of the shot. Women are obscuring their partner's faces when they post as if they want to erase the fact they exist without actually not posting them. Now, again, people have had problems with their relationship partner, their spouse having an Instagram or a social media and not posting the boyfriend or the girlfriend, the husband or the wife. These women are suggesting to not post them for right and for wrong. I believe that if you post, like say for instance, I had a relationship and I posted it on social media, I would get attacked by my own audience. So even on the male side, I've even showed my JUCO situations. All right. And some men chose to attack. This is what you're paying for. She's mid. You can get her in any place in New York. All right. So people will go on the attack because they don't want to see you happy. All right. They don't want to see you elevate. They don't want to see you evolve. They don't want to see you with a relationship at all. Then people say, keep your relationship off social media. At the same time, the woman then gets to post herself and build up her own social profile outside of the relationship, having her own DMs, having other men comment on the platform. So now they're suggesting keep the boyfriend off. All right, this is absolutely crazy. So what gives? Are people embarrassed by their boyfriends now, or is something more complicated going on? To me, it feels like the result of women wanting to straddle two worlds, one where they receive the social benefits of having a partner. There's the partner word being used, but also not appearing so boyfriend obsessed that they come across as quite culturally loserish. So it's socially, culturally loserish for a woman to be sprung over their man. This is what she's suggesting. You're a loser if you're in love. All right. Same thing would happen on the men's side. I've seen this happen to Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate posts some videos of his so-called baby mama, and I saw dudes going in on him. So-called Andrew Tate or top supporters. Oh, she a man. She mid. She ugly. She a prostitute. She got bubbled up lips. All right. So I've seen even the men's side engage in this, and they've engaged in it with me as well. All right. Not a lot of people, but I just go and delete the comments because what we live in is a world where relationships are not supposed to be good. We're not supposed to be promoting it. Okay. We're single as strength and relationship is weakness. All right, this is the world we live in. Now the women have gotten a hold of this. All right, and now you have misandrous women saying, nah, don't be so culturally loserous if you're a pick me. Okay, they want the prides and celebration of partnership. You see that partnership in there all the time, but understand the norminess of it. In other words, in an era of widespread hetero fatalism, they like to make up words. Women don't want to be seen as being all about their man, but they also want the clout that comes with being partnered. Right? Okay. I believe this woman is kind of the clear example of this. All right. Where it's like we'll sprinkle the relationship in the content, but he won't be the center of the comment. I mean, the content. Okay. So there's a picture here, there's a picture there, but I think her audience would basically give her the ick, all right, the old if he was every picture, unless he was a Brad. If he was a Brad, a 6'5" with a blue eyes in the finance, yes, they would probably like it. I've seen Olivia Dunne experience this. Everybody was about Olivia Dunne until she leveled up and got a Major League Baseball professional pitcher. All right. And then everybody was like, oh, okay, wow. So I didn't have a chance all this time. No, you didn't. Olivia Dunne got a professional baseball player, a 6'5" with a blue eyes professional baseball player. So even on her side, her primarily male audience went, oh shit, hypergamy. Oh, she's just a gold digger, right? And then they went to sense to embarrass her to say, you know what I mean? Like people, this is where we are. This is where we are with our world and society. So when people think maybe it's the men that got it bad and the men are hurt and bitter, the women are showing just enough misandry and bitterness as well when their heroes get into relationships as well, right? To where they're like, don't make your husband the center of your content. We don't want to see that shit. Okay. He says, is it men living in their fantasies where they think they can get her? Yes. Men wanted to believe they could get Olivia Dunne, even though they know she was far out of their league. But guys didn't get a sense of reality. Oh, shit. Okay, damn. Okay, Olivia Dunne's boyfriend. Oh, I can't compete with that. All right. Let me see if I can pull this up. And a lot of teenage boys, dude, they were selling out arenas for her to do gymnastics. And she wasn't even a good gymnast in comparison to the rest of the team. Like she was solid. She wasn't even the star, all right, of the gymnast. And she was selling out arenas. And then until she pulled up with the millionaire Chad baseball player. Right. And now it was like, whoopsies. All right. This is who you got to be to get an Olivia Dunne reality check. Okay. This is who you got to be, sir, to get a little piece of calico, one of the hottest pieces of calico right there. Let me see. He plays for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Nope. Yep. You got to be. How tall is this guy, bro? I mean, I know Olivia Dunne's not very tall, but this guy got to be 6'5" plus. 6'5" plus. So this does get men then go, oh, damn, reality check. Looks like he played for LSU. So there's where the connection is. All right. So let me see. Where's this Pittsburgh Pirates stuff right here? He's 6'6". He's not a finance, but yeah, he is a baseball player and all of that. So yeah, and there's a boat. Right, there's a boat right there. So then then you get a reality check. Where do I stand? Oh, damn. I'm out of the running. All right. The reality check. This is why for a long time she didn't feature him in her content. All right, so let's go ahead. But now Klay Thompson, you guys see when it does happen, the relationship blows up. Cardi B and these type of people here. All right, going further here, they're talking about this, but it's not all about the images. When I did a call out on the gram, plenty of women told me that they were, in fact, superstitious. Some feared the evil eye, a belief that their happy relationship would spark a jealousy so strong in other people, women, that it could end their relationship. Others were concerned about their relationship ending and then being stuck with the posts. This woman says, I was in a relationship for 12 years and never once posted him or talked about him online. We recently broke up and I don't think I will ever post a man. This is Nikki, age 38. Even though I am a romantic, I still feel like men will embarrass you even 12 years in. So claiming them feels lame. This is where we're at. These are the women. They're all future wives out here. Claiming them feels lame even after 12 years in. Of course, listen, this is both sides of the conversation, but they're even saying women. Some fear the evil eye, a belief that their happy relationship will spark a jealousy so strong in other women that it could end their relationship. Some women I know. I had a woman that was one of my sugar babies, and she started posting me, not my full, sometimes it would be my full face. Sometimes it would be me in an outing. Sometimes she would take a picture. She would hold my hand and take a picture of it. And she said, some of her girlfriends said, when you're done with him, let me get a chance. And these were good looking, attractive women. All right. And she said, and I shared that on Locals. All right. And they were like, who is that guy? Right. Who is that guy? Who's that guy? And I represent a certain archetype, gray beard, mature, like these girls in their 20s, late 20s. So I'm a mature man, late 40s. And they're like, who is he? Oh, you got a good type. You got one. They was like, you pulled one. Wow. I need to get a guy like that. You got a man, because they used to dealing with niggas and pookies, right? And perpetrating pimps. So they were like, who is that? And a couple of guys recognized me on her post. So they recognized me and I was like, that's CGA. All right. So what happened was one girl said, when you're through with him, toss it over to me. So this is indeed true that some of your friends right here, some of your friends are going to undermine you. All right. And they're going, oh, shit, you got one? Okay. Where you get him? How you get him? So they start asking, how did you get him? Where did you get him from? Of course, she didn't say she got him from the junior college. All right. But some did know. All right. Some didn't know at all. And then I think she started saying, I met him at a cigar lounge, which was not true. All right. But and so she was like, maybe I need to hang out at cigar lounges. All right. So you see what happens there. So this is, in fact, true that women will look at your relationship and say, let me undermine that. Let me follow him. And oh, by the way, she ended up saying she wanted to see how many of these girls started following me on my social media. So she went and checked, and she did find that once she shared me, some of those girls came over and followed my social media. All right. So this is true. This is overwhelmingly true. But there's an overwhelmingly sense from single and partner women alike that regardless of the relationship, being with the man was an almost guilty thing to do. On the Delusional Diaries podcast, fronted by two New York-based influencers, Haley and Jazz, they discussed whether having a boyfriend is lame now. Damn. Why does having a boyfriend feel Republican? Read the top comment. Boyfriends are out of style. They won't come back in until they start acting right. Read another comment with 1,000 likes. In essence, having a boyfriend typically takes a hit on a woman's aura. One commenter claimed, funnily enough, both of these hosts have partners, which is something I often see online. Even partner women will lament men and heterosexuality, partly in solidarity with other women, but also because it is so now fundamentally uncool to be a boyfriend girl. Wow. AKA, this is why I showed the clips leading up to this, right? Why I showed the clip of the church skeezer women, why I showed the clip of the two man-hating women talking about we hate men, where she found the cut. I showed you this clip. All right. And I showed you the clip here of this woman saying she wants a strong, masculine, dominant woman to be with a unassuming, male cuck, liberal, submissive, subby, she called him. Okay. So you're hearing even that. So men typically would say in relationships, this is what I'm typically seeing in relationships. Men typically say, we need to get away from women. All right. We need to get away. We need to leave them alone. We need to stay single. We need to stay for our peace. So they would abstain from relationships, dating, cold approaching, nightclub. They typically will go away with it, except for black men. Black men typically still try to re-engage and hope they find a different one and then come out here and rail against black women. But most men typically talk about relationships and then say, I'm going to get away from it. I'm going to stay away from them. Women tend to talk about relationships negatively, but be in relationships and or pursue weak men. They tend to still engage but hide the fact. There's some red pill content creators that do that too. They get up here and talk shit on women and they're in relationships. But you're looking at where these women, even with the podcast, talk shit about misandry, but they got boyfriends behind the scene. So when I say this all the time, just because they're in a relationship doesn't mean they're happy. Just because they're married doesn't mean it's successful. All right. So this is proving what I've been telling you, man. Look, just because you see people together doesn't mean they're getting what they want out of the relationship. Doesn't mean he's an alpha male. Just because he's 6'5" with a blue eye doesn't mean that he has his relationship down. All right. Moving on with this one. This is somewhat sad to report, but this is being published here in Vogue. I'll repeat, even partner women will lament men in heterosexuality, partly in solidarity with other women, but also because it is now fundamentally uncool to be a boyfriend girl. And it says here is not just in these women's imaginations. Audiences are icked out by seeing too much boyfriend content, myself included. It seems and indicated by my liberal use of the mute button. It says when author and British Vogue contributor Stephanie somebody hard launched her boyfriend on social media, she lost hundreds of followers. That would happen to me too. That would happen to me too. If I just came in here and said, baby, I met my boo. Tranisha is the love of my life. Look at her lighting up. Pussy getting wet. All right. She's the love of my life. I met her. She's been in my comment section. She been donating. I came in. She swallowed my kids. And I'm going to take care of her kids. I'm going to marry her single mother style. Donovan Sharp simply torpedoed his YouTube career simply over that. All right. Donovan Sharp torpedoed his YouTube momentum because he married a fat white single mother, according to you guys. I didn't say it. All right. But we saw this with Donovan Sharp in our space. All right. Damn. He talked all that shit. We saw that typically with that one guy, Cooley, who talked shit about single mothers, only to find out he was with a whole Botox face single mother. Right. All right. So I didn't say it. They said it. So this happens even on the men's side, that soon as they see a person hard launch or commit or get into a relationship, boom, gone. It says, even if we were still together, I wouldn't post them here. This is something cringy and embarrassing about constantly posting your partner these days. She tells me, adding that there is part of me that would also feel guilty for sharing my partner constantly, especially when we know the dating landscape is really bad at the moment. I wouldn't want to be boastful. Again, survivor's guilt. A lot of men have tried to make me feel guilty about boasting and bragging and showing off. So now you got to be conscious about your followers who are miserable. And then they see you winning and then they don't want to, they don't want to feel good about you. They're going to feel bad. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen because this shit keeps moving up and down for some ad. Sophie Milner, a content creator, also experienced people unfollowing her when she shared her romantic relationship. Quote, this summer, a boy took me to Sicily. I posted about it on my subscriber section. And people replied saying things like, please don't get a boyfriend. She admitted that her content perhaps became less exciting when she got into a relationship. Being single gives you this ultimate freedom to say and do what you want. It is absolutely not every woman, but I do notice that we can become more beige and watered down online when in a relationship, myself included. And this is true. You will see content creators, when their content gets stale, you can tell they got into a relationship. right? When they stopped posting consistently, you could tell they got into a relationship. So yes, then all of a sudden you can't post consistently. You're not editing well, right? You're not experiencing things. You're going to things together. You're not focused on your content. Yeah, you can see it. It gets stale, and people change in relationships. All right. And they're saying right here, the women are saying, don't get in a relationship because it's going to change who you are. That would happen to me too. But unfortunately, we're seeing the women fall into this world where relationships are seen as even on the women's side. For my conversations, one thing is for certain, the script is flipping and shifting. Being partnered doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore. Being partnered, and I can't stand them using that word over and over again because it's not a partnership. But for a woman, being a partnership doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore. It is no longer considered an achievement. And if anything, it becomes more of a flex to pronounce yourself single. As straight, by the way, if men wrote this article, this shit will be roasted to death. I mean, roasted. It says right here, as straight women, we're confronting something that every other sexuality has to contend with, a politicization of our identity. Heterosexuality has long been purposefully indefined, so it's harder for those within it or outside it to critique it. However, as our traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're being forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. Oh. Wow. Last paragraph. Obviously, there's no shame in falling in love. I mean, this the rainbow agenda. Wowzers, man. Obviously, there's no shame in falling in love, but there's also no shame in trying and failing to find it or not trying at all. Fig towel. And as long as we're openly rethinking and criticizing heteronormativity, as long as we're openly rethinking and criticizing heteronormativity, quote, having a boyfriend will remain a somewhat fragile and even contentious concept within public life. There is also happening along a wave of women reclaiming and romanticizing their single life. This is also happening alongside a wave of women reclaiming and romanticizing their single life. It says, where being single was once a cautionary tale, aka you'll end up a spinster with loads of cats, it is now becoming desirable and a coveted status. Another nail in the coffin of a century-old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women to begin with. But CGA's doom and gloom. By the way, these are what people will listen to in college. All right, heteronormativity, hetero this and that. But CGA is doom and gloom. CGA, you have no hope. You got to give us hope. This is published in Vogue magazine, the opinion section. I'll just go ahead and show you proof here as a receipt. Sheesh. Goodness gracious. All right, this is man almighty. All right, Vogue, right there, opinion section, named Shantae Joseph, October 29th, 2025. So this was 2 days ago. Oh boy.